Hey, you viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist, and welcome back to Being Hunted, episode 452 now. So, gosh, I hope you guys are all doing well and all that. We're back with another podcast-style episode of Sir. This is actually the same map as the previous couple of episodes. I'm just now on the North Island, that's all. Because why the hell not? Let's go to a different island and have conversations elsewhere, shall we? So I hope you guys out there are all doing well, and you're all doing good. It's a weekend, as I'm going to record this, 2:30 in the afternoon. Been doing my housework in the morning, getting all that done. And now I'm having a big recording session, just to basically get some more episodes of things pre-uploaded, or pre-recorded and then pre-uploaded into the queue on YouTube and all that. I'm going to do this episode of Sir, I'm probably going to do a bit of Tomb Raider 2, get a bit of that done as well, and possibly other stuff. We'll see. So yeah, incidentally actually, well, if anyone wants to know when this video was recorded, I'm actually going to say, so I don't know even why I said that, good lord, but let's just say, you know, looking back over recent days as I'm going to record this, a few things going on obviously on the channel. Lost Legends of Redwall Act 3 we've actually completed now, so that's that little series of games all done and dusted, which is pretty good. That franchise is now complete. I'll have to leave a review for that on Steam at some point, in case anyone's interested in it. So I'll do that, don't you worry and all that. But yes, that's not actually what I was thinking about talking about this episode. It's just a quick update, that's all. If you haven't watched any of my Lost Legends of Redwall playthroughs, definitely go and check them out. It's a charming little game, maybe not the most kind of groundbreaking or amazing series of things, and yes, they can be a bit buggy and a bit kind of simple in their design sometimes, but you know what? They are games that have had a lot of soul and heart put into them. So, in that respect, they are quite charming. So they're definitely worth watching, or even giving a test yourself if you want to find a game that you can play. But in the meantime, you know, I've just been sort of spending my time doing a lot of work these last few days, being very busy. But now it's time to relax a little bit, because my sort of work schedule over the next few days is a bit less kind of hectic. So I can hopefully get a few more recordings done, and that'll be good. And that way I have plenty of content in the meantime on the channel. Because you know what I'm like, I block record stuff, and whenever I do get opportunities to do recordings, it's always important for me to kind of seize them and just really... Okay, apparently you can see me. I thought I was well hidden, but apparently not. Oh, get out of it, you bastard. Let me just take that. There we go. I don't know if I even picked it up. I didn't even look. God, that's loud. And oh, there's a freaking device piece right there as well. I didn't even realise. Good lord. Put the rocks between myself and them. Draw them out, actually. Like this. Here we go. See if we can loop in a big circle. He has seen me again, but... Ow. Luckily, they're not doing bleeding damage just yet. Anyway, as I was saying, basically... Okay, now I am bleeding. Flipping heck. So, as I was saying, it's going to be a relaxing couple of days, hopefully, in due course, for me just to keep on top of things here on the channel. In the meantime, though, apart from that, I've been thinking about other stuff recently. Oh god. Oh, fucking hell, there's robots everywhere! Jesus Christ! It's like everywhere I turn. Freaking enemies! Oh, okay, I may actually die here. I don't have more bandages. I'm dead. Wow! Wow! There's friggin' hunters everywhere. And once again, it was that issue of they were in the woods. I couldn't see them. I could hear them, but... Oh, bloody hell. Well, that was a palaver, wasn't it? It completely disrupted my train of thought there, what I was supposed to be talking about. Okay, but now I've remembered. Let's try that again. This is a podcast-style episode, so we're not bothering if we die. It's not like I failed a challenge or anything. Yeah, so what was I saying? I was actually thinking recently about a series of movies that I've actually not watched in a long, long time. So you guys out there, you know, do you remember the old... well, I say, do you remember? Of course you'll remember. People will remember a lot about this. But, thing is, I've recently rediscovered the original Terminator movies. I mean the original ones, not the modern ones. The modern ones are all a bit, you know, they're of variable quality, to put it that way. But thing is, I'm talking about the original Terminator from 1984. and of course Terminator 2 as well, if you want to include that one. There we go, alarm clock's gone off. You see, this is how you do stealth. Blow them both out like that. Right, got that one. Well, yeah, it's kind of basically I haven't sort of rewatched those movies, but the last time I actually watched them must have been well, many years ago, back when I was in my early teenage years. And of course, they are classics, classic Arnie movies and all that, and all Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the thing about them is, I found a compilation recently on YouTube. So, I mean, obviously, if you know the story of the Terminator or the Terminator franchise, you know what it's all about. So, in the future, war of man versus machine, Skynet, all that. Skynet develops time travel technology, sends evil robot assassins back through history to try and kill certain individuals, human individuals, so that it can essentially change history in order to win the war in the future. That's the basic gist of the Terminator franchise. And so in Terminator 1 it was about Skynet sending the Terminator back to try and kill Sarah Connor, mother of John Connor, the leader of the human resistance. And of course in Terminator 2 it sent another one back at a later point to try and kill John Connor when he was a kid. Stuff like that. And thing is, obviously, you know, Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, and Terminator 3 as well, actually, they always... You never really saw much of the actual war of the future in those ones, other than a few sort of brief scenes and flashbacks. And I was recently watching a compilation of, you know, all the main sort of Terminator movies, with the exception, I think, of Salvation, of what were basically the future scenes in all of the Terminator movies, starting with T1, going through T2, then T3, and maybe like a brief couple of ones from Salvation, I think, and then possibly from, I think it was Terminator Genesis, as it's called. I'll be honest, after Terminator 3, I haven't actually seen any of the Terminator movies, so yeah, that's something just to bear in mind. But as I was watching this compilation of all like the future scenes, it did remind me of how awesome T1 and T2 actually, well, how awesome they actually are when you look at, considering that they are old sort of 80s movies, and especially like Terminator 1, when you look at like a lot of the future scenes in that one, how often they were actually made using physical props. Because the thing is, this is 1984, this is before the advent of CGI. Well, CGI was around, it was just kind of in its infancy, and the thing about CGI is it costs a lot of money. So, of course, the thing about it was that, and still is in fact, that, you know, graphics artists who can do CGI are often paid very big bucks, so it's very expensive. But it got me sort of thinking about how a lot of old films and things like that, often they did, of course, have to make high use of actual physical effects in order to produce things like explosions, scenes with action going on in them. And it was just quite interesting in that regard to sort of then look back on the future scenes in T1. And there's so much actually about those scenes that I actually really do like, even though they were made in 1984. So obviously, you know, some of the effects by today's standards are quite ropey, but I don't know, they still hold up fairly well, at least in my opinion anyway. And the thing about T1, of course, was that as the original, it actually does have it has a few scenes actually of the future within it, of the future war in the sort of Terminator franchise. And I mean, when the movie actually starts off, there's a brief scene, of course, with like the I think what's called the HK airborne one. Basically, in the future war, they have like the hunter-killer machines that Skynet uses, but there's like different series of them. So it has like the tank ones, the aircraft ones, and then of course all like the endoskeleton, like ground infantry type ones, which just sort of go around killing off any human they come across. And then of course they have the actual Terminators themselves. And so obviously the original Terminator, like I say, has a mix of different robots actually in it. And I always remember kind of watching the future scenes in that movie and being really impressed, even today, by the designs. of the actual robots and the fighting machines that they use, because some of them are just so awesome, essentially, to actually look at. Oh god, I can guess from my tea. So, for example, I mean, one of my favourites from T1 and T2 in terms of the machine designs is the HK tanks. So, basically, if you don't know what they look like, go and look on YouTube. You'll find compilations of them, and they're a really interesting design with like the big sort of treads, like the big turrets. It's almost like a bit of a fusion between a kind of mech and a tank. And the thing is, like I say, I haven't seen the later Terminator movies, but at the risk of sounding like someone who has real rose-tinted spectacles, some of the machines in the later Terminator movies, I don't know, I feel like they're not... they just don't quite fit the vibe of the older ones, with like giant crazy mech robots and stuff like this. I just thought, nah, I much preferred the sort of much chunkier... the much sort of chunkier, more distinctive looking things like the HK tanks in the original Terminator, stuff like that. And so, of course, apart from the HK tanks, there's the one I mentioned a moment ago, like the flying machines that Skynet uses, things like that. It's just, essentially, some of the visuals still hold up, I think, even despite being a bit ropey by today's standards. They're still quite visually distinct. So yeah, Terminator movies, especially the originals, I'll have to go back and re-watch them at some point, because they're classics and all that. But yeah, I think it's like the more recent Terminator movies, or I should say the more modern ones anyway, not so much recent, but you know what I mean. I don't know, so they don't really hold an appeal to me, just because, I don't know, I prefer the old ones. Again, this makes me sound like some sort of jaded person who's viewing the past through rose-tinted spectacles or something, which, sure, maybe there is an element of that to it. It's like an old person pining for the good old days and all that. But yes, but the thing is, I actually mentioned, I think in the last episode, didn't I, that there is a Terminator video game from 2019, Terminator Resistance, which actually looks really interesting, because essentially it is a depiction of the future war scenario in Terminator. And I've seen screenshots where they have like those big HK tanks and things like that you see in the original Terminator movies. And the thing is, like, you look at the future scenes in the original Terminator movies in T1 and T2, the vibe in them is always like really gritty and depressing and dark, and that's what makes them kind of stand out. Because I see a lot of later Terminator movies where the future war scenario is a lot different, at least from the clips that I've seen. It just doesn't quite feel the same, to put it that way. Well, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on the matter as someone who's never actually watched the later movies. But I can remember actually back in the day going to see T3 in the cinemas when it came out. This was when was Terminator 3 released? It was 2003, wasn't it? I believe so. And basically Terminator 3 was the sort of final Terminator movie that was set not in the future war, but kind of before that, which involved Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator and an evil Terminator being sent back in time. Yeah, it was the last one that basically involved that kind of the sort of the old school sort of T1, T2 format, basically, as I'd call it. Because every, I think, Terminator movie since then has been set in the future war scenario, as far as I know. I don't know, though. Maybe I'm wrong about that, because like I say, I haven't watched the later movies, so I have no idea. I'm not up to date on the Terminator lore. But yes. So, yeah, I remember seeing T3 when it came out in the cinemas, and, as an action movie, it had some good scenes to it and all that. And Kristanna Loken's Terminator, the TX, as it was called, was quite a distinctive villain. So, it had some good stuff going to it. I mean, T3's version of John Connor, I think, maybe wasn't the best when I look back on it. And that's saying something, considering that T2's version of John Connor, of course, was Teenage Eddie Furlong, or whatever he was called. It's a slightly screechy kid. Oh dear. Right, let me just put that on there. Slot 5. Right. I hear lots of robots around. In many ways, So You're Being Hunted is like the British version of Terminator. No, it's not. It's nothing like that. Deary me. But if you think about it, Terminator 3, in many ways, also had quite a sort of funny sense of humour to it, which I think some people didn't really like all that much. And I was actually watching, I can't remember, it was a Yogscast video recently, Tom and Ben, the one of the more favourite Yogscast duos from recent years, and they were actually discussing Terminator 3, and there's a lot of things that as a kid, when I first saw that movie, I never really thought about, but as an adult now, I think, yeah, that's true actually. Like the fact that, you know how Terminator movies go, the classic ones, that is. The Terminator travels back through time, he appears in 1980, whenever it is, he comes out. And of course, he has to go and get clothes, boots, transport, things like that. So he usually just goes to like the first area of human habitation that he can come across. And he does the whole, I need your clothes, your boots and your motorcycle thing. Essentially he does. And so like in T2, for example, he comes across like a motorbike gang in a bar, and he basically just messes them up, and then takes this dude's friggin' leather jacket and outfit and his motorcycle. And like in T1, he basically beats up a bunch of punks as well. So that happens. And then, of course, in T3, though, when Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, the Terminator, spawns in, of course, the first place he goes is a bar, but it's ladies' night, so it's full of women. And then the only kind of male in the room whose clothes are suitable is the friggin' dude on the stage who's basically a singer/stripper. And so the video that I saw from Yogscast Tom and Ben, when they were talking about it, essentially points out that throughout the whole of T3, Arnie's character is basically going around wearing stripper pants, if you think about it. Something like that. Which actually kind of reminds us that T3 in some ways was a bit of a parody. And, you know, T3 wasn't the best Terminator movie, but it had some good points about it. So, there was that. But what I was actually was also kind of interesting when I was watching the compilation of all like the future war scenes from across the Terminator franchise. I was reading through some of the comments people had left, and somebody had commented that it was interesting to see how Skynet, the concept of it, had actually evolved as the sort of series of movies progressed. I'm going to parkour my way up here, I might be able to. No, actually, I don't think I can. Oh shit, am I stuck? Okay, I'm stuck, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that fantastic? If only I could blast myself out of position here. What if I become invincible for 20 seconds? Will that friggin' free me? The answer to that is no, it won't. Ladies and gents. Bollocks. I always find little bits in like this where you can get stuck on the terrain without meaning to, so just be careful of that, ladies and gents. But yes, Terminator 3, that's just my thoughts on that one. And you know what? We've been recording for at least 10 minutes there, which is fine. God, I can barely even jump now. So with this with this situation in which I now find myself, I'm afraid we're probably going to have to wrap up here because there's not really much I can do like this. Well, it doesn't matter because basically I talked about what I wanted to talk about in this podcast style episode. But yeah, so next episode, I'm not going to be doing a challenge. So just to kind of hint, I will be joining Den of Thieves, by the looks of it, on another of their dev streams sometime fairly soon. So, who knows, next episode you may get to see some highlights from that one. Next couple of episodes, in fact, depending on how long I'm on there for, because I may end up splitting the footage, assuming they allow me to actually record, which I'm guessing they probably will. I'll have to check that. But yeah, Facebook and Twitter links down below, along with the links on my propagandist channel for anyone interested, and if you enjoyed, don't forget a like's always appreciated. Other than that, I'm signing off now. Goodbye all! So we went over there. Where does it want us to go next? That's the question. I need to find more of those screens. Oh, well, unless it's just going to let us actually go where we want to. Okay. Well, let's do that, I guess. So it is letting us explore. Oh, there's a Tifa telescope. I can use my telescope to discover distant objects. Hang on, that's the Lioness Hotel where we just were. Is there anything over here, maybe? Or we can zoom in, okay. I can't really see anything up there. It's quite high. Interesting mechanic, though, using the telescope. I quite like it. I wonder what, if anything, we can see from this angle. We are a bit low down in the water over here. Oh, God.